Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am seriously so excited you're here today because we're jumping right into an urgent deep dive on a technological inflection point that is, quite literally, reshaping our entire world as we know it. We're talking about Agentic AI. And listen, this isn't just another flashy software update. It is a massive, fundamental shift in how human intelligence is being mirrored and eventually operated by machines. If you've been feeling like you're constantly playing catch-up in the modern economy, well, this is your moment to completely reset the board. So let's dive right in.
To really understand what's at stake, let's start with a hard, completely objective look at the global technology gap. Look at this data. On one side, we have Israel, a country with a pretty small population, boasting $131 billion unicorn startups. Then, on the other side, we have Pakistan. It's a nation with this incredibly large, vibrant youth population, yet it's currently sitting at 0 unicorn startups. So you have to ask yourself, why is that? Well, the data makes it overwhelmingly clear. In the modern era, economic dominance doesn't just rely on population size or, traditional natural resources. It relies entirely on technological mastery. It's a pure numbers game of who actually adopts the future first.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll look at that global technology gap. Second, we're climbing the AGI stairs from chatbots to deep reasoners. Third, we'll explore the agentic AI revolution itself. Fourth, innovators and broad autonomy. And finally, I'm going to break down the exact AI agent tech stack you need to start building.
All right, part 1. The global technology gap, an inflection point in history.
It's really easy to look at those startup numbers we just talked about and feel totally defeated. But we are actually sitting at a mathematical inflection point right now. Think about 1493. The Ottoman Empire banned the printing press, and that one decision arguably set their technological progress back for centuries. Now, fast forward, 1949, we get the concept for the first artificial neural network. 2022, the generative AI boom absolutely shatters all our expectations. And now, 2025 is projected to be the year of agentic AI. An inflection point basically means the graph is resetting. When a revolution this massive hits, all the old advantages sort of disappear, and everyone starts at 0 again. You just have to decide if you're going to be the one to grab hold of the printing press this time around.
Moving on to part 2. Chatbots to deep reasoners. Let's climb the stairs of AGI.
Okay, I want you to think of artificial general intelligence, or AGI, like a staircase with 5 very distinct levels. Level 1, that's your chatbots. We're talking ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. They are totally prompt reliant. You ask a question and they shoot back a fast answer based on their training data. And honestly, we've pretty much mastered level 1. It's just the baseline now. But the real magic starts happening when we take a step up.
To really get what Level 2 is all about, we have to look at how human reasoning works. It all comes down to the difference between System 1 and System 2 thinking. Imagine going to a doctor. System 1 thinking is like that doctor looking at your symptoms and immediately guessing your illness on the spot. It's super fast, very intuitive, but yeah, it's prone to error. System 2 thinking is totally different. That's when the same doctor pauses, writes you a prescription for blood work, and patiently waits for those lab reports to make a deliberate, highly accurate step-by-step diagnosis.
And this translates directly into modern tech. Level 2 AGI, which we call reasoners, is already sitting right in front of us. Models like OpenAI's o1, those are level 2. When you give them a really complex prompt, they don't just spit out the first intuitive guess that comes to mind. Actually, they pause. They switch into that System 2 thinking to break your prompt down into these deliberate step-by-step reasoning paths, what we call a chain of thought, before finally delivering a highly accurate answer.
All right, let's get into Section 3, the Agentic AI Revolution. Level 3 Autonomy.
Gartner, one of the top tech research firms out there, has plainly stated, quote, 2025 will be the year of agentic AI. This isn't just a trend. We are talking about billions and honestly potentially trillions of dollars shifting straight toward autonomous AI systems. The absolute biggest tech companies in the world are pivoting their massive infrastructures entirely toward this one single goal.
But what does Level 3 actually mean for you and me on a day-to-day basis? Well, it introduces a concept that should profoundly change how you view software forever. Let me ask you this. What exactly is a virtual human? Because we are rapidly shifting from AI being this simple tool that you hold in your hand to AI being an autonomous worker sitting at the desk right next to you.
Let me give you a brilliant metaphor from the source material, the virtual HR manager. If you tell a basic level 1 chatbot to find talent, it just spits out a generic list of tips, right? But a level 3 agentic AI, it receives a broad task, something like, hey, find top AI talent in Pakistan, And it actually gets to work. It autonomously opens a web browser, it searches LinkedIn profiles, it reads through resumes to screen for the exact skills you need. And then, this is the crazy part, it makes decisions on its own. It figures out if a specific candidate would respond better to an email, a text, or even a phone call. It reaches out, it has a conversation with them, and it schedules the final interviews right onto your calendar. It acts completely autonomously without needing you to hold its hand step by step.
Let's look a bit further ahead. Section 4. Innovators and Broad Autonomy, the Future of AGI.
So, level 4 brings us to the innovators. At this stage, AI isn't just checking off tasks on a to-do list, it's running vast virtual simulations. Imagine you want to test a super complex new finance policy for a state bank, or maybe a brand new chemical compound for a cancer drug. A level 4 AI will test those ideas in a highly detailed virtual simulation. It analyzes the errors, self-improves the formula, and perfects the whole thing before it ever even sees the real world. It basically becomes its own lead researcher and validator.
And then, at the absolute top of the staircase, we have level 5, organizations. This is where AI achieves broad autonomy. We are talking about a system that can multitask across completely different fields all at once, handling HR, closing sales, managing branding, and writing code simultaneously. At level 5, the AI isn't just an employee anymore. It is fully capable of leading and operating an entire organization. And yes, that includes managing human employees and assigning us tasks. It's a complete, mind-bending paradigm shift in how we think about management and operations.
Okay, bringing it back to today. Section 5, the AI agent tech stack. How to actually build this future.
So, the big question, how do you actually participate in this right now? Well, here is your blueprint. And honestly, the best news, you absolutely do not need some massive $6,000 NVIDIA GPU laptop to get started. A standard, decent, secondhand laptop is plenty to begin learning. The stack itself is super straightforward. For your language, you need Python. For your backend orchestration, you're going to look at LangGraph and LangChain. For your front-end user interface, Next.js. And for the AI's memory, you'll be using graph databases with Graph Query Language.
Let's break those components down, starting with the language. Python is, without a doubt, the foundational language for the AI revolution. We've seen the industry make this massive shift away from languages like TypeScript for AI backends. Why? Because every single new major AI release, every new SDK, every cool tool that comes out, it's almost always supported in Python first. It is incredibly accessible, it's object-oriented, and it's simply the absolute easiest starting point for anyone building AI today.
Next up is the orchestration layer, LangChain and LangGraph. These are amazing open-source frameworks created by a really brilliant young innovator named Harrison Chase. I want you to think of LangGraph kind of like a musical conductor on the back end. Your AI agent has access to a lot of instruments, right? It can search the web, query a database, or ping an LLM. LangGraph basically uses Python functions as nodes to orchestrate exactly when the AI should search, when it should pause to think, and when it needs to actually take action. It's what controls that entire autonomous workflow.
And finally, your AI needs a memory. Now, for the last 25 years, the gold standard has been traditional SQL databases, right? Storing data in these very rigid rows and relational tables. But here's the thing. AI thinks much more like a human being. So we use Graph Query Language. Graph databases don't use rows. They store data as nodes and connections. It's literally exactly how your brain stores a family tree. Your uncle is a node, you are a node, and that invisible line between you, that's the connection. This totally changes the game because it allows the AI agent to instantly retrieve deeply interconnected knowledge just like human memory.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. The global technology gap is vast. Yes, we saw the data. But remember what we talked about at the very beginning of this explainer? This is a mathematical inflection point. The graph is completely reset. The barrier to entry today isn't about your country's population size or your geography or even having massive amounts of hardware capital. The only real barrier to entry right now is simply mastering this specific agentic AI tech stack. You have the blueprint. The tools are mostly open source and free to learn. This AI revolution isn't coming tomorrow. It's unfolding right now, at this very second. So the only question left to ask yourself is this. Are you going to master this stack and build the future? Or are you just going to watch it happen and be left behind? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep learning.